Hey everybody, September 9, 2025 here with your end of day recap. So we've got Oracle, which was the big one. This thing's up about 25% in after hours. I mean, just absolutely awesome and massive. I think they said that they've got a backlog of like $400+ billion, which is just, kind of mind-boggling to wrap your mind around that sort of number. And a really nice reaction to its earnings. That is giving a little bit of life to an NVIDIA in after hours. That is giving life to an AMD. That is giving life to a CRDO, etc. So really nice to see semiconductors are acting well today. You had a decent little reaction from Palantir today off of the 50 simple moving average. That is exactly what you want to see, right? It's just been digesting here for the last few weeks, but everything is tightening up nicely, kind of just surfing the 50-day. The way the market's acting, the way mega caps are acting for the most part, in particular semiconductors and these continued growth names, Palantir, Hood, it just looks like Palantir will be going right back up, barring some big expectation breaker going forward. Amazon to me looks absolutely awesome. Looks like, I kind of said it earlier, just stick this thing at 250 and start from there. You break out of this cup and a handle setup, I would have expectations for higher on this name. Google just continues to grind higher. Looks absolutely awesome. And then, Tesla just sitting here in a giant weekly chart. My expectation is that when that 258, 259 level gets taken out, we probably end up going higher. Congratulations to those of you guys who have had conviction in UNH. Today was a huge day for that name on a big pickup in volume, kind of into this gap fill zone. I wouldn't be too surprised if we can go and test. This is a Stan Weinstein 4B setup, right? You get above the 50-day, you digest, shooting up to the 200 simple moving average. Seems like it could definitely be in the works. But ultimately, just a pretty nice day in the market. LEU I thought was a nice one today. Of course, I decided to go with CCJ. That's just kind of my luck. But about $208, this thing looked pretty good, and then just took off all day long. I took CCJ just a half size position and widened out my stop a little bit more. So I'm just comfortable sitting, even though it really didn't close all that great. I am just still sitting in it. I did add some MP today. I was hopeful that Apple during their event was going to say something in relation to MP, but they didn't. I still love the way this thing looks. You have a really tight inside day on 9/8. You are checking back into this 50-day. For me, instead of buying breakouts, buying pullbacks to ascending moving averages has been the better move. NBIS, I cannot forget to mention this one. Super nice move. Big gap up. I mean, hit 100 and almost $10 yesterday after hours. This pullback in the morning, very nice. Probably had some good profit takers in there, and then started to turn back up. Unfortunately, I didn't get involved on this 620 setup. That would have been pretty good, right around $90. Set your stop at low of day, about $4 or $5 of risk, and then you're already up a nice little multiple of that going into tomorrow. But ultimately, I think the market is acting fairly well. I was hopeful that Hood was going to stop for a little inside day today. It did not. It then ended up ramping towards the end of the day. I will keep an eye on this thing tomorrow. Along with NBIS, you had really nice moves in WULF. Again, nice little morning shakeout, reclaim yesterday's highs, and then a really nice ramp up, continuation in after hours. IREN, same deal. WULF, same deal. IREN, same deal. HUT, same deal. I mean, these things are just acting well. They're just moving as data center plays. Galaxy was another one. So there is a ton going on around the market. Solars kind of got cracked a little bit today. You could kind of look at something like Sedge. At one point, it was down like 12%, a little bit more. Bouncing near the 50-day. We'll see kind of what this acts like going forward. A little bit too much volatility here for my liking. We'll see if this thing can tighten up and give us a tight little day maybe against the 50 going forward. FSLR, same deal. Finished the day, nothing really serious. Nothing kind of like Sedge. You pull right back into the last prior day lows. last couple of days. You bounce right off the 20. You close fairly decently. Nice tight day. We'll see what this thing acts like tomorrow. But, solars were kind of a no-go today. Money was flowing into, some of these prior leaders, Palantir, Hood, NVIDIA, AMD, all acting well. NBIS, a bunch of these data center plays. Obviously, Oracle, the big one. So, from my perspective, it looks like everything is okay. I did notice Morgan Stanley, nice job making an all-time high today. I saw JP Morgan. This thing's also, hanging out fairly well. You have Citigroup. These things are just acting and hanging out really, really well, just building out a new base after a nice move up. So, yeah, I just don't really have too many negative things to say about the market. Has it been a little bit choppy? I think that's fair to say, but I did find myself as a buyer today. I finally added on to my ARC position. This thing looks super, super nice. I added on to PDD, not quite as strong as I was hopeful for. It was acting really well in the morning, and then kind of went on to give some of those gains back, but still just holding on to my ads. No big deal. I added on to Tesla as well. And again, this thing is just digesting, I think, just trying its best to piss everybody off, myself included. And then new positions, CCJ, and again, hindsight's 2020. LEU was definitely the one that was acting a bit better today. And then MP, using that 50 simple as my guide. So I did put on a little bit, maybe more exposure than I was thinking I was going into today, but these were all kind of names that I was prepared for. So that's nice. And, the market continues to act well. I don't see anything out there that would give me like some real pause that the market's trying to actually go lower. Gold today had a bit of a pullback, nothing serious at all. Probably could use some digestion through time or a little bit through price here. We'll see. But ultimately, I mean, shit looks really, really good. You had these really big moves up yesterday. Obviously, Octo was a massive one. And then today, who doesn't love a good China scam? You go all the way from, couple of bucks all the way to 300 and change. So that's just unbelievable. This is a name that I was watching, but this move here is something you really don't. I mean, I saw Nate from IU, massive respect for Nate. He put out a message on some of these, and just there being a lack of supply in these names, and Octo kind of caused the perfect storm for a name to do this kind of thing. Sorry if anybody got hurt in a name like this. That's never ever fun to see. But yeah, ultimately the market is acting pretty dang well. AppLovin continues to act well. ANET continues to act well. CRDO continues to act well. Coin woke up a little bit today, so that's nice to see. And ultimately, I mean, things look pretty good. I don't really have a whole lot more to cover outside of that. I think the mega caps are acting fine. I think banks are acting okay. Would be nice to see semiconductors, kind of start acting well together. Obviously, we have seen AVGO gap up on earnings a few days ago, and this thing continues to hold in there really well. Obviously, ramping up a little bit in after hours with what's going on in the semi space. But is there something out there that can carry the market that truly looks bad? Right? Semis look good, banks look good. And to me, those are the two most important groups. Growth names are kind of coming back along. Even quantum stocks today. It's like, like a Rigetti. This thing's just been digesting for months and months and months and months. And, you're just refuse to lose the 50-day, get nice and tight along that 50-day, and then take out prior day high. And then you're off to the races. So, that's pretty good to see. IONQ as well. Another super massive base. I don't just want to be negative on names for the sake of being negative. This thing was digesting here very nicely as a bull flag after finding support at the rising 200. So, even as much as I dislike quantums, these names are acting pretty decent. So, we'll continue to just take it one day at a time. I did add a bunch of exposure today. Like I said, way more than I thought I was going into to the day, but the market kind of pulled back in the morning and then started to find its legs, and you had that big gap up in NBIS, and yeah, I mean, no real complaints. The only real thing left for me to do is wait for Tesla to give us the all go signal so I can load the hell out of that one, and hopeful that I can make that one my biggest position here pretty soon if it would like to get going. Otherwise, today was a pretty okay day, I thought, and we'll just continue to take it one day at a time. So anyway, hopefully this video finds you guys well. Short and sweet today. Like I said, I'm like scratching my brain, like what was truly negative out there. You know, the only other thing that maybe a little bit negative, but the daily looks just fine, was, you know, the reaction to that Apple event. But, you know, who cares? It's above the 200, it's above the 20, it's above the ascending 50. I mean, you know, are we going to nitpick because this thing has one little down day? I don't think so. So MU is another one that I've been trying to get myself in, and just beautiful continuation again today. I thought last Thursday was perfect, and we're just off to the races multiple days in a row. So nice to see. And yeah, we'll just kind of scan a little later tonight and see what the heck we can get involved in. And even Baba, God, there's just so many of these names kind of come into my mind. Baba looks like it might be trying to break out of a multi-year base. So I mean, look at this thing. You know, it looks like we're trying to go higher here as well. So all the biggest weekly volume bars, they're all accumulation. And it looks like, you know, Baba could be ready for that next leg higher. So we'll see. There's just really nothing to be super negative about until things are actually breaking down, which it just doesn't look like they are. So Oracle for a moment was living below the 50 there, but that rocketed higher. Hood shook everybody out under the 50 and then gapped up higher. And names are just out here making all-time highs. So that's really good. Anyway, hopefully this video finds you guys well, and I will see you guys all bright and early for pre-market prep. Cheers.